In today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 very obscure games on the Nintendo GameCube, and we are joined today by a special guest, GameCube Galaxy, who is going to talk about an obscure game as well. So let's go. What's up everybody? Somewhere hidden in this video is my Corgi Link, and if you can find him, I want you to leave a comment down below with the timestamp and his exact location. Good luck. On to the video. Before we get into my list, we're going to kick things off with a game from a very special guest, that guest being YouTube channel GameCube Galaxy. And folks, if you love GameCube content, then you got to check out GameCube Galaxy's channel. He has got you covered there. I will leave a link to his channel in the description down below. With that being said, let's go ahead and turn it over to GameCube Galaxy. Here we go.
The GameCube had quite a bit of obscure games for the system, but my personal favorite obscure game was Killer 7. I remember when this game was coming out, I had no idea what kind of game it was going to be. Was it an action shooter? Was it a third-person game? Was it a first-person game? Was it survival horror? Every trailer for the game really evoked a sense of mystery surrounding it. Upon getting my hands on it, Killer 7 ended up being something unlike anything any of us ever played. Killer 7 has you play as 7 different assassins that can be switched on the fly. Gameplay is essentially on rails in a sense, where you use the A button to run forward and the analog stick to select the next path to continue running on. Enemies are invisible to the naked eye and will require you to aim in first-person view and then scan the environment to find the enemies. You'll know they are nearby since they laugh maniacally, which is your cue to start aiming and scanning. The enemies have a highlighted weak point that can kill them instantly, but if you shoot and miss the spot and dismember the body part instead where the weakness was, you'll need to unload your gun to finish them off. Many of the enemies actually make their way towards you to blow themselves up, as they're basically walking bombs. As mentioned, you can switch between the 7 assassins, each with their own attributes and weapons that can better assist you in various scenarios. There are even environmental puzzles you'll need to solve, and the game does a great job of keeping you immersed from start to finish. Now granted, this is a very brief rundown of the game, but its obscurity is evident from the very start.
Hurts, doesn't it?
To this day, there is no other game that has ever replicated the style and gameplay of Killer 7, making it not only an obscure game, but literally a one-of-a-kind experience. Retro Wolf, thank you again for having me as a guest on your channel, and for all watching, feel free to check out my channel, GameCube Galaxy, for everything and anything GameCube related. Now, back to you, Retro Wolf 88.
Thank you, GameCube Galaxy, for sharing that awesome game. And again, folks, I will leave a link to GameCube Galaxy's YouTube channel in the description down below, so be sure and check that out. Now, with that out of the way, I'm going to get into the first game on my list, which is Trigger Man. Trigger Man is a third-person shooter and was released on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox on October 5th, 2004, and was developed by Point of View and published by Crave Entertainment. The GameCube version has an average Metacritic critic score of 35 out of 100 and only sold around 10,000 units in North America, and the current price charting value complete is around $15, and I suspect the price will go up on this one eventually because it's actually a pretty rare game. If you couldn't tell by the Metacritic score, Trigger Man is a really bad game. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say that it's one of the worst games I have played on the GameCube. It is an absolutely excruciating experience that I did not enjoy at all. In Trigger Man, you are some kind of hired gun for a crime family, and you go on a series of missions for them to take out their rivals. As I stated, this is a third-person shooter, and everything about the game is awful. The controls are awful, the gameplay is awful, the graphics are awful. You get the idea. When you first load into the game and start moving your aiming reticule, it's so freaking slow. Even when I go into the options and bump up the sensitivity, it's still slow as shit. Each battle bad guy takes like 1,000,000 shots to kill with your pistol unless you get a headshot, and good luck lining up a headshot unless you get lucky. It is almost impossible to avoid getting shot, and your character moves like he's having a stroke. Your gun runs out of ammo super fast, and enemies do not drop ammo, so you have to backtrack all the way back to the ammo box to fill it back up. Oh, and the game has stealth sections, and it is some of the worst stealth gameplay I have ever experienced. You might as well just forget it. I could go on about Triggerman, but I would honestly rather put my face through a freaking window, so I'll leave you with this. Do not play this train wreck of a game, please. Next up on the list is Spirits and Spells. Spirits and Spells, otherwise known as Castleween in Europe, is an action puzzle platformer and was released on the GameCube in North America on September 24th, 2003. It was originally released on the PS2 in Europe, and there was also a Game Boy Advance version. Spirits and Spells was originally developed by Callisto Entertainment for the PlayStation 2 version, and the GameCube port was ported by Wanadu Edition, and it was published by Dreamcatcher Interactive in North America. Spirits and Spells has an average Metacritic critic score of around 50 out of 100, and it only sold around 10,000 copies in North America. Spirits and Spells is one of the rarest and most expensive games on the GameCube, as a complete copy at the time of this recording will run you around $176. Sadly, Spirits and Spells is just not a very good game. I mean, it isn't terrible like Triggerman, but at the same time, I was not enjoying myself. Spirits and Spells has sort of a fantasy fairy tale vibe to it, as you play as a few Halloween trick-or-treaters that have to enter the world of the dead in order to save their friends. It is an action platformer with some puzzle elements, and each level plays out in a very linear fashion with a fixed camera angle and very little exploration. You'll be playing as Alicia, who is like a witch, and Greg, who is basically a little devil. You'll be switching between them at various times throughout the levels in order to solve puzzles and progress further. Alicia and Greg both have their own unique moves and abilities for some variety in the gameplay. The game actually has a lot of unique and cool ideas, but the problem is that none of them were executed well and never really came together as a cohesive whole. The puzzles are weak, the platforming is clunky, the combat is boring, and the level design leaves much to be desired. Spirits and Spells is an obscure game that had potential and could have been a great game, but it fell short of that greatness and ended up being an average and mediocre game that is honestly just not worth playing. So I recommend skipping this one, folks, especially given its price and rarity, unless you're a crazy GameCube collector like I am, and then you're probably going to pick it up anyways. The next obscure game is Cubivor: Survival of the Fittest. Cubivor is, well, I don't really know what it is. I guess an action-adventure game, but who the hell knows? It was released on the GameCube on November 5th, 2002 and was developed by Saru Brunei and Intelligent Systems and published by Atlas. Cubivor has a Metacritic critic score of around 71 out of 100 and only sold around 10,000 units in North America. Cubivor is well known for being one of the rarest and most expensive games on the GameCube, and at the time of this recording, the average complete price is around $483, which is insane. Cubivor is one of the strangest games I've ever played, so I'm just going to kind of wing it here on my description of the game, and this should be very interesting, so here we go. You start the game as this cute little cube-shaped animal called a Cubivor, and you run around a trippy psychedelic environment eating grass and small bugs. Eventually you run across other Cubivore and you fight them to the death, and when you kill them you rip off a piece of their meat and eat it, which makes you mutate and change appearance, and you gain new abilities. You repeat this process over and over and eventually fight boss Cubivores. You also mate with other female Cubivores and have offspring. I mean, no joke, at one point my Cubivore had a threesome with 2 female Cubivores and they both got pregnant. You can't make this stuff up. The whole time I was playing Cubivore, I had no idea what the hell I was doing or what the hell was going on, but strangely, it was fun in a very bizarre and intriguing way that I can't quite explain. I will definitely do an episode of GameCube Gallery on Cubivore at some point because I want to experience more of this trippy game. I would recommend it, but good luck finding it unless you want to pay hundreds of dollars, so if you really want to play it, you will need to explore other options. Cubivore is without a doubt one of the strangest games I have ever played, and I cannot wait to get back into it. The next obscure game is Zoo Cube. Zoo Cube is a very unique puzzle game that released on the GameCube in North America on May 5th, 2002, and it also released on the PS2 in Europe, and there was a mobile version and a Game Boy Advance version. Zoo Cube was developed by Puzzle Kings and published by Acclaim Entertainment. Zoo Cube has a Metacritic critic score of 67 out of 100, and it sold around 20,000 copies in North America, and at the time of this recording, price charting has it at around $10 complete, and just like with Trigger Man, I could see this game eventually shooting up in price because it is rare and I never see this game out in the wild or at a retail game store. Zoo Cube is a unique and sort of strange puzzle game. I'm going to do my best to try to describe it to you, but you should be able to get a sense of the game by watching the gameplay that plays. In each level, you have a cube in the center of the level that you can rotate in all directions as you manage all 6 sides of the cube. As you play each level, there will be animal shapes falling from all directions toward your cube, and they will start to stack up on all sides. If any side of the cube exceeds 5 shapes, then you lose the level. Your goal is to rotate the cube around to make the same shapes touch, and then they disappear off your cube to free up more room. Besides rotating the cube, you can also juggle your stacks of shapes to rearrange the order of the shapes, so there's a lot to manage and keep track of here as things get hectic. You can also use acquired smart bombs to eliminate a bunch of shapes at once if you get into a bind. There are also items to acquire called goodies that increase your score and also give you power-ups and abilities. There are a multitude of game modes to play across single player and multiplayer for some variety in the gameplay, and I have to say I really enjoyed Zoo Cube quite a bit and loved the unique gameplay and twist on the standard falling block puzzle formula, and I also like the strangeness of the game as well. I would go as far as to say that Zoo Cube is a hidden gem, and for the low price of $10, I highly recommend picking up this really fun and unique puzzle game on the GameCube. And the final game in today's obscure GameCube game video is Eggmania Extreme Madness. Eggmania Extreme Madness is a fun and unique falling block puzzle and platforming hybrid and was released on the GameCube, Xbox, PS2, and Game Boy Advance on September 11th, 2002, and it was developed by HotGen and published by Kemco. It has a Metacritic critic score of 64 out of 100. The game only sold around 10,000 units in North America, and the current price charting complete price is around $15, making this rare game still pretty cheap for now. Just like Zoo Cube, Eggmania is a falling block puzzle game, and also just like Zoo Cube, it's very unique and fun. And your goal is to build a tower using the falling block pieces and platform your way to the top of the stage before your opponent. As you control your egg character, the blocks will be falling down in bubbles and you will have to catch them and then move around and place them where you want, and of course you can rotate the piece as well. As you are building your tower, water is rising, and if you're too slow, the water will consume your tower and you will lose. You have to try to fill in all rows just like in Tetris and leave as few gaps as possible, because if you have gaps, it could cause your tower to sink faster. You can also acquire power-ups to help you or sabotage your opponent. There are a multitude of modes to choose from for both single player and multiplayer, and you can even create your own custom mode and compete in tournaments as well. There is a large variety in the gameplay, and Eggmania is fun as hell. It is easily my favorite game in today's list, and I would consider it a hidden gem on the GameCube. I absolutely love the idea of combining simple platforming with a falling block puzzle game and with a very interesting theme and art style. I 100% recommend picking up Eggmania Extreme Madness to play, especially while it is cheap, because this is a game that I could see going way up in price at some point. There you have it, folks. 5 very obscure games on the Nintendo GameCube and 1 obscure game from our special guest, GameCube Galaxy. And shout out to GameCube Galaxy for joining this video. I will leave a link to his channel in the description down below, so be sure and check that out. If you love GameCube content, you will love GameCube Galaxy. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure and hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below if you own or have played any of the obscure GameCube games we discussed in today's video. Also, let me know in the comments down below if there are any other obscure GameCube games that I should cover in a possible follow-up to this video. As always, folks, thank you for tuning in. Stay safe out there, keep playing games and having a good time, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Later. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. You're freaking awesome. And if you enjoyed it, hit that like button, share it with your friends and family. Check out all the social media links in the description down below. And if you want to see more Retro Wolf 88 videos, here's a couple more for you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go play some more video games. Later.